each other and lights a life for love. We'll give it a shot, you know,
Jon Bon Jovi is one of the world's most successful artists. With his band Bon Jovi, they've sold over 130 million albums worldwide. They've performed in over 50 countries to more than 34 million fans. I went to meet this rock icon on the streets of Philadelphia, his home away from home.
Do you know why I'm doing this interview? So that somebody that sees it goes and does it their own self. I'm not doing it for the accolades. I don't like the accolades. I don't want to be a part of the accolades.
This famous New Jersey native is using his celebrity to shine a light on poverty and homelessness. I met up with him at a centre of Project Home, one of the charities his foundation supports, to understand the man behind the rock star image. What were you like as a child, John? Were you quite shy?
No, I wanted to be the lead singer in a rock and roll band.
From what age, though?
Oh, boy, as soon as I could make a decision. I think that by the time, honestly, I was 14 or 15 years old, I never really had an alternative. And when you graduate from, I'm going to be an astronaut, a policeman, or a baseball player, the fourth one is always rock and roll star. The first three didn't work out for me. So it was, I just always was drawn to music. I love the idea of singing and playing and writing and creating and being an artist.
What about your upbringing? Because, you know, reading about it, it seems like you always said it was very normal. Is that true?
I think that it was very uneventful. Middle class, suburban upbringing, two-parent house, worked in the factory, you joined the service. It really was a blue-collar upbringing. We had visions of grandeur that fortunately worked out, but what kept you humble was staying where you belonged and being a part of that culture.
I believe your mother, Carol, gave you a guitar when you were age 7, but you weren't quite ready.
I wasn't ready for it. Maybe it was the rebellious side, but I tossed it down the basement stairs just to hear it boink and bank, and broke a tuning peg off and didn't go down the basement for it for 6 years after that. But fortunately I did, and had a screwdriver to tune that G string up and tuned everything around that, and you know, one by one started knocking them down and figuring them out.
And you were playing music when you were at school. Do you think you were more concentrating on that than your schoolwork?
Yeah, I mean, any kid that has dreams should dream them big. And so there was no shortage of big dreams in this kid's head. I wasn't a great student. In retrospect, I wish I had paid more attention while in school instead of having to learn everything I know now by experience. And you know, and falling down is a little more difficult. But also, hard work and dedication to something, you can overcome any challenge.
Going back to the time when you had the foresight to actually take what you'd written, it was Runaway, to the local radio station, what made you do that?
Frustration and a little bit of ingenuity. The same cassette tape that was on the desks of every record company in town, and I thought, well, who should I go ask if this is any good or not? Because I believed in it. And fortunately for me, this big radio station in New York City was so new that it didn't yet have even a receptionist. So knocking on the door of the DJ's booth while he was on the air and getting a shush until he was done speaking led to a conversation, which led to an opportunity, which led to my being here 30 years later.
Bon Jovi was formed in 1983 in Sayreville, New Jersey, and in just 3 short years achieved global success with their third album, Slippery When Wet. John, your third album, Slippery When Wet, was a big commercial success. You sold over 28 million albums worldwide. Was that when you felt, okay, we're making it now?
Yeah, oh sure. I mean, that was our thriller. You know, that was that career-making record. It's still one of the biggest selling albums of all time and all that kind of nonsense. Slippery was a huge phenomenon because of the self-imposed pressure of a follow-up to prove that it wasn't a fluke. We ran into the studio and recorded in New Jersey, which gave us 5 more top 10 singles, and oh my God, I don't even know how many more millions of albums that sold. But 240-show tours back-to-back, and these 2 albums back-to-back. And then I went in to do the Young Guns soundtrack, and that again was #1, and started winning movie awards and more, accolades. It almost drove me off the edge, because now you started to understand the term, the music business. There was a business to music, and suddenly you went from being the fun-loving kid singer in a rock band to the head of a corporation, to a boss.
David Bryan on the keys. Chico Torres on the drums. Richard Sanborn on the guitar.
You talk about the business, and you took over as the CEO, as the quarterback of the band. Where did you get that business acumen from?
Well, people give me all these wonderful accolades for the accomplishments of the band and the success of the band. But the truth is if you were a cobbler or a baker, if you don't learn your business after 30 years, you really are just a fool. So in truth, I learned it through experience. And I've had enough experiences over the years to be a willing participant in the outcome. And in 1990, I eliminated the position of manager and a commission pay to those who I felt I could do a better job at running my own life than they could do for me. So it created a management company, and people thought that was a very brave move, so much so that, my death was inevitable. But it didn't seem inevitable to me. It seemed like the obvious next step. And it worked for us.
Did you feel that pressure, though? You say people were looking, they were observing, saying, what is he doing? Did that affect you?
No. If it affected me, only in the positive. And as much as that I was going to prove them wrong again. I had to convince the band. That was more telling. To sit the band down and say, look, I've always had a vision, and if you all will trust my instincts in one single focus, we will all benefit. And they did. They weren't even reluctant. They did.
Still quite unusual, Jon, though, for an artist to take on that responsibility of the business side. A risky step for you.
Oh, yeah.
A risky step.
Oh, yeah. I'd have it no other way. I didn't mind failure. At least I knew I had made that decision. So fear was not a motivating factor.
Being the CEO, what does that role entail day to day?
With the team, I like to call it the Henry Ford theory of management. It's my ideas, my visions. But then everybody's got a department in the field that has to contribute to the whole. Whether it's the songs, everything starts with me. If there's a collaborative effort and Richie co-writes the song, it's certainly 50-50 in the room writing the song, but then I'll determine what songs are going to be on the records or not. You have to get involved in everything from the marketing, the release dates, the visuals, the touring, the hirings of the various crew. Fortunately for me, I've been with one record company for 30 years, so there's no issue of my going to this company or that company. I've always been with one company. I've seen them change. They've changed people, they've changed locations, they've changed names. I'm the only thing that's still standing there, me and the cockroaches. But I like having the same band, I like having the same family, I like having the same record company. It works for me.
Can I take you back to when you first set eyes on your wife, Dorothy, which I believe was in your history class back at school?
Yeah, 1980. Long time ago.
But how were you so sure at that young age?
Youth, naivete, dumb. That's what dreamers, are dreaming about, the happy, the whole happy story.